in the world of medicine, there's more people that are unfortunately failing than there are succeeding. Physicians come out of school thinking they know everything, but they know nothing about business. The world doesn't want people to be healthy because healthy people are not good for business. I'm just gonna say it. If we can give compounded medications on a mass scale, which we can do right now, Big Pharma is gonna be pissed, because if Big Pharma can't prescribe these other medications for high blood pressure, for diabetes, for high cholesterol, all these other things that weight issues cause, then they're going to be bottom line shot. And that's not good for business for them. Hey everyone, Sam Patel, super excited to have today's discussion. I have amazing, brilliant entrepreneurs with me. Gentlemen that I've met over the last couple years, and they are amazing people that are going to engage in amazing conversations. If you are new to my channel, make sure you hit subscribe so we do not miss out on any conversations that we have together, because today's conversation is going to be a good one because we have some heavy hitters in the room from different walks of life, different age groups, and we're going to dive into medicine. We're going to dive into entrepreneurship. We're going to dive into all of the hot topics and a little bit of the dirty topics of business. And we're going to expose some things together. Let me introduce my two guests here. I have Dr. Alex Spinoso and Jackson Lintz. And I'm super excited to have you guys. How you guys been?
Good. Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for having us. We're technically filming in your house.
Fair enough. They don't know that. They do now.
We're filming here in Dallas, Texas. It's super nice to be here. I'm very excited for the weekend. I know we're going to be hanging out. We're going to be doing some cool things at the conference, but we wanted to make sure that we have some time together to have a good discussion of the industry. I know, Jackson, I would love to maybe start with you, just telling the audience a little bit more about your history. You're the young buck in the room. You're up and coming. You and your brothers have laid an amazing foundation, but what's your story? I mean, I know it, but tell the people out there, why are you here? What have you done? How have you triumphed and clawed your way to where you are now?
Yeah. So me and my two brothers, we started an e-commerce product-based business in 2016. And that was the start of our business ventures. And we were able to scale that up to 7 figures through Instagram marketing. And so what we would do is we film like cringy classroom skits, and we would product place the earbuds in the videos. And so these videos would get millions of views on Instagram, and they convert really well to paying customers. And so we were able to scale that business to 7 figures within just a couple of years. And, we were naive, right? Like, we were young entrepreneurs. We didn't know a lot about business. And so we got a little greedy and thought that we could market anything. And so we expanded out to other product lines like waterproof speakers, backpacks, and we built up like a massive inventory costs that pretty much sunk us and brought us to $300K in debt. And then,
how old were you at this time?
Well, it started, like the video started when I was going into grade 9. And then we progressed through high school. And so I was managing high school and then also the work. And I was also doing coding a bit on the side as well. So it was pretty much just like nonstop, to bed at like 11, up at 5, and just like go. School would always come last on the list just because like I didn't care about it at all. And yeah, so that's a bit about like the e-commerce side. And then we transitioned into more branding because we saw like that's what we were best in. Like we were able to scale up this product-based business through Instagram, something that was very new. Like no one was really growing like we were on Instagram. So we dove in, started taking on clients just for like Instagram growth, scaled that up and started the agency, which where we were managing multiple clients. Then we got into the PR side of things and started getting our clients on publications like New York Times, USA Today, Forbes. And so we kind of established a full service offering where we not only were managing individual social medias, but we were also managing their PR. And these are high-level professionals that we were managing. So they were real estate investors, they were attorneys and firm owners and clinic owners. And then as we progressed and scaled up that side, we moved from our hometown in Winnipeg, Manitoba to Puerto Rico. And then after that, we realized that the industry that needed the most help was the aesthetics industry and clinic owners. And so we've tailored a lot of our offerings now to focus on serving clinic owners, physicians, specialists, practitioners, and helping them grow their brands.
So that's a crazy story. I mean, most people when they're in middle school and high school, I mean, Alex, I don't know what the hell we were doing.
Useless. That's what I was doing.
We were right.
Nothing useful.
Nothing. We were probably just nerding it out, trying to get good grades, and had this. We'll get to that whole healthcare.
Eating my Lunchables.
Exactly right. But nonetheless, you kind of took a different path and you and your brothers went into this whole entrepreneurship really early. Made $1 million, lost $1 million, and you grinded your way through. And I was in my 30s when I started making that kind of money, and you were half that age. So that is pretty freaking crazy. I know you mentioned over time that you started partnering with some A-list celebrities and doing these sort of things. Walk us through how you guys even came about that, who those people were, if you're allowed to talk about that. Just walk us through kind of that, what that means for people.
Yeah. So as we were expanding into the agency, we saw something happening on Instagram, and we were big on Instagram, right? We were heavy in the Instagram marketing space. And so people were running giveaways with celebrities. And so they partnered with celebrities. Celebrity would give something away on Instagram, and then they'd tell their followers to follow everyone that, this company was following. And there was a few people in the space, but they weren't doing the model right, and they weren't building a brand around it. They were faking results. They weren't giving away prizes. So we were like, this is something that's like going to be really big. So let's just jump on this early. And we were able to partner with our first celebrity, which I think was like Bad Baby or something back in 2018. And it did amazing. Like organically, she sent I think 50,000 or 80,000 followers to our clients' accounts. And we were like, this is something that we can monopolize and build a brand around and build trust around in a area where a lot of people aren't trusting, right?
Yeah.
Because they weren't getting the results. And so that's what we did. And we started reaching out to more celebrities as we built credibility around the brand, which is high key clout. We were able to just continue to expand and scale that model up over the past few years.
When you meet these celebrities, because I've seen the photos, you've been in photos with Rick Ross and Da Baby and then the little baby and all the babies. and when you meet these people, I'm just curious, as a youngster, someone in your 20s, and you're meeting these people that, some people idolize them. I listen to their music sometimes. How does that feel? What does that look like for you when you and your brothers are able to do something so young and meet these sort of people and partner with them? How does that look like? Is it something that's normal for you? Is that something that you're like, whoa, this is pretty crazy? Are they normal people? What's that look like?
Yeah, for sure. I think when you're younger, you're also more impressionable. So I was 18 at the time meeting these people. And I always had high values for myself and high standards. I don't drink, I don't smoke. And so I was already not in their lifestyle, because a lot of them are partying, they're living the rapper lifestyle. Yeah. A lot of them are rappers, right? So that was kind of a separation point. But I think as I've gotten older, I've realized that their lifestyle isn't all that it seems chalked up to be, which is fame, wealth, girls. That's not everything. And a lot of them are they're neat individuals, they're unique individuals. And that's why they are who they are, because they've authentically shown that through their music and entertainment, the things that they've done. But in terms of them having it all figured out, they don't. No human does. Yeah. And so when people put them on a pedestal thinking that they're these ultimate humans that have achieved something that they would never achieve, it's just not true. They have the same problems that other humans.
I think what you're saying is very important, because entrepreneurs, specifically successful ones, they may be deemed or labeled as, hey, you've made it, right? But I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong, Alex, I will get to you too, is I feel like you're always still working hard. You're still that simple person. And you're right. All of us are still learning. Obviously you guys have plenty of life ahead of you. But nonetheless, celebrity or not, we're always continuously learning. And when you're coming from a background of being in school for so long, Dr. Spinoso, Alex, why don't you walk us through a little bit of your history?
Yeah. And you're absolutely right. It's you always feel like you're behind. No matter what, even if you grow in entrepreneurship and you have all these businesses, you always feel like you're behind all your friends, because they say comparison's the thief of joy, but that's for people who lose.
Right.
Yeah. Winners always compare themselves to other winners.
Yes.
all the time. Right. But no, I graduated from medical school in 2013, went to residency in Southern California. When I graduated from there, I actually ended up working in the prison. So I worked in the general population yard, baddest of the bad boys, murderers, killers, arsonists. Absolute best fucking job I ever had. Because if you gave respect, you got respect. It was straight up, face to face. I'll take care of you if you promise not to murder me. It was pretty simple.
That's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, it was like, cool, we're good. It was only one dock on the yard. We had about 2,500 to 3,000 inmates at a time. So Jesus. They knew like I was the only person on the entire yard who was going to put them together.
Yeah.
So if they got stabbed, they got, hit, they got in a fight, they're laying out there, it's only me. That's it. They knew that. So I was treated like royalty by the gangs and obviously the guards on both sides. And I did that for about 2.5 years. And it was the same thing over and over, 40 hours a week, which in the government meant you worked about 8 hours truly. Mm-hmm. And it was just the same BS over and over and over. Nothing different. I mean, yeah, stabbing here and learning how to make a shiv out of Jolly Ranchers and crap like that. Got old after a while.
Right.
But I decided, I want to do something else. I want to run something else. I had been in the medical field. I went through urgent cares and learned, how businesses were ran and realized that, hey, in the medical field, as you know, nobody knows how to run a business.
Nope.
These guys are all just, figuring it out. And most of the time they're figuring it out terribly because they got an MD or a DO behind their name. And they say like, I know everything from now on and nobody can tell me anything and I can't learn.
Right.
And so they shut down and they shut everybody out and then they just treat everybody like crap. And the medical field is riddled with terrible bosses, terrible people, etc. And I want to be different. So I decided to build my own business and I didn't know what it was going to be, but my wife and I started saving up for building our company, whatever it was going to be in the medical field. I thought it was going to be urgent cares at the time because I worked at a lot of urgent cares and I thought if this idiot can do this, I could definitely do this. My boss was terrible. And after about a year of saving, I ended up, we had about $100,000 and we had moved out of our home in Palm Springs at the time. And we moved into the front foyer of a 5-bedroom house. And we moved into the foyer because the other 5 bedrooms were actually already rented by people. And we had eight I went to Home Depot, bought 8 foot by 10 feet plywood, put it up as our doors, and we slid them back and forth as our doors in the morning. We had our mattress on the floor, a bunch of trash bags all around that. We lived there. And I never forget the first time I met Ricky, who lived there as well. And because Ricky was sitting in the living room on the floor, on the cold floor, half naked, just kind of staring up at the ceiling. And I was like, hey, how you doing, Rick? Nice to meet you. And he was just like, I'm great. And that's when I learned that we had moved into a crack house.
Wow.
So wasn't a big deal though. We were never home.
Yeah.
It was $250 a month to rent. We ended up living there for a year and a half. And during that process, I ended up getting into a mastermind. And it wasn't a medical mastermind. And for those that don't know, mastermind is just a group of business owners or business people coming together to kind of help solve each other's problems. And ended up spending half of our life savings, about $50,000 to get into that mastermind. And jumped in 2 feet first, said, I'm going to soak up everything I possibly can. In this, ended up meeting another gentleman who had ran med spas, like weight loss centers, actually. He had 3 of them at the time. His name is Brent. And we ended up hitting it off because we were the only kind of medical based people in the field. And he said, hey, why don't you come work for me? I said, absolutely fucking not. He said, why don't we become partners? He said, okay, now we're talking. Let's do it. And we opened our first clinic together in Las Vegas. I moved from Palm Springs with my wife. We sold our house, went all in, moved to Las Vegas and started our first company there, our first location there in August of 2019, August 1st. And then since then, we've kind of just been snowballing, and every chance we get, we buy a new clinic, roll up a new location, acquire a new B2B company. And now we own 80 locations, or we have 80 locations in our Genesis brand. That's the Med Spa brand. We started to get into the B2B world about a year ago. So we have now 2 compounding pharmacies that service our companies and others. We have a CRM company that, does all the leads and stuff like that. Like, that world way better than I have. I have a CEO for that I don't know. I let him nerd out on that because he loves it like you do and is really good. But I have a CRM company, the pharmaceuticals. I also do a lot of manufacturing and wound care as well. So I have a distribution and wound care company, and really everything has been in my vertical. Everything has been just there. I've never spread out because that's what I know. I know a lot of people say diversify and do this and that. It's all been in the medical field because it's truly all I know.
Well, it makes sense too. If you're going to take some risk, entrepreneurship is a risk, might as well take it in your kind of lane, right? In your field. That way, you know how to contribute to it. It's not completely foreign to you. And if it is, like you said, appoint someone who's really good at it, have them run it, and you can kind of influence it every now and then.
Absolutely.
But no, I think that's brilliant. And I wanted to bring up the first topic, which is education. Education when it comes to just how it's evolved, how it's now perceived, perhaps. I think that when you and I were probably growing up, it was a prestige, and it still is. However, Italian, right? Indian, we have very
Italian, Puerto Rican.
We have very stubborn families.
Yeah, totally.
Our parents, our cultural values are similar in the context of very strong values, very, traditional, specifically your first or second generation. You get a lot of that. Hey, go to school, be that engineer, lawyer, or something.
Yeah, I was going to say
something.
Sam
right?
Patel, you're definitely an engineer or lawyer.
Oh yeah. Sure. With my last name, you'd get disowned if you weren't, if we weren't one of those 3 things.
You actually made a video on Patel.
Yeah, right. It's ridiculous. There's like a million of us, but nonetheless, how Alex, how do you view it now? I mean, you see these youngsters, like we were sitting right next to one. And, you and I went through this path of sacrifice in terms of our time, right? Yeah. Sacrifice with going through our 20s into just dedication to school and our craft. And I don't have any regrets. I'm pretty sure you don't either. But if we were to look at it again and look at maybe this new generation, you have some kids, and they are going to be growing into this world of opportunity. How do you foresee this evolving, and how do you foresee it as it is now and what it's going to be?
It's totally, we're opposite. Did you finish high school and then you didn't do college?
Well, COVID actually hit during high school.
Oh,
so
God.
I kind of like dipped
You're
out.
that young? Holy shit.
Right.
Okay, yeah, right.
So I left because COVID, your grades couldn't go down once it hit. So I'm like, okay, well, there's no more work to do here.
I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want.
Okay. I dipped out.
Peace out.
There was no post-secondary.
Love it. Holy shit, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And terrible, but awesome at the same time, because you realize you're making a ton of money even without that degree. And it was a very humbling thing when I got into that mastermind that I talked about. I walked in, there was 50 other entrepreneurs there. I had the most degrees by far, MD, MBA, all of it. I had all of it. And I made the least amount of money by far.
That's crazy.
By far the least amount of money. Half the guys hadn't graduated high school. A quarter of them had gone to prison. And they all made more money than me. So, growing up now, I tell people, if you want to get into the medical field, you have to make sure you fucking love it.
Oh, absolutely.
I went into being a doctor because it was a fallback. It was hey, what can I do that will give me security for a long period of time? And the degree was it. I wanted to be a professional soccer player, but my body gave out. That's for fucking sure. Yeah. But it was okay, what's a fallback? And I had a conversation when I was 16 with my dad, and he was like, well, because I want to be a car mechanic. He's like, well, you can probably be a car mechanic and kind of starve, because the trades were not, when we were growing up, were not you're making $50K a year, if that. Right. Or you can go to medical school, finish your degree, get a higher level job, and make more money, because that's the time that we grow up in. Yep. Now, with my kids, the only reason they go to school now is just for socialization. They're not learning anything different. Right. It's the same cost to have a personal tutor, a nanny, come to the house and teach them. I mean, even when they get older, my wife, Steph, and I have already spoken that we'll probably do a homeschooling pod like Elon Musk or a lot of wealthy entrepreneurs do, because again, you can control them, you could teach them. And I've got a lot of colleagues now who 100% homeschool their kids. And nowadays it's completely different, because when we were growing up, you got the homeschool kid was a fucking weirdo.
Yes.
That dude was strange, sat in a room like this with black walls all day long and couldn't socialize with other humans. Now, I mean, they do schooling for 3 hours and then they're doing all the old school stuff. They're doing home ec. They're going to the local tire shop and changing tires and learning about cars. And then they're speaking 2 different languages. And then they're doing sports in the afternoon.
They're developing like skills.
Yeah, they're actually being humans and having fun and playing and stuff like that, rather than sitting in a classroom, built off the Third Reich from the 1940s. Right.
That's exactly what school is now, is to learn how to socialize, how to talk to other people. Yeah. That I think there's a lot of value in, right? People always ask, what did college do for you? I'm like, probably made me more confident. School wise, nothing. Like I don't do organic chemistry, physics. Like I don't fucking remember that.
No.
And that's the whole point, is that we spend so much money, and not just time, but money invested into education. And then we're fighting back to just kind of resolve that debt. And then we see, 20-year-olds like the one next to us, taking a whole nother path and just grinding. And then we realize we're like, should we have done that? Like, do we tell our kids to do that? Cause I feel like I would at this point. If they wanted to.
I'm 16 years older than you. I'm 38. Like I can't imagine in 16 years how crushing it you're going to be.
Right.
How crushing. And people always say, like, I had a great lesson actually from an entrepreneur early on. And the lesson was that the time that you give up now is not the time that you give up now. Going to school for us, doing things like that for us right now, that's not the time you give up. The time you give up is the time at the end of your life.
Right.
So the 8 years that I gave up going to school, 12 years that I gave up going to school, and I wouldn't change it, but for somebody else, 12 years that you give up now is the 12 years that you give up from your 50s to your 60s or your 60s to your 70s, where you have the most amount of money and can do the most things with it.
Right.
That's what you give up, not this time ahead of
that's so true.
Ahead of you.
Yeah. I mean, with the education, like it's hard for you guys to say, like, what could we have done differently in terms of like going to school, because there wasn't the level of access that you have now to the information that's out there.
That's true.
That's
very true.
You can look up anything on YouTube now and get walkthroughs, get how-to videos.
Yeah. We sat in fucking public libraries.
Literal libraries searching through books. Right. Yeah. And like in like history, it was like the Bible. Right.
Yeah.
So like now there's just like so much more access to information. And like, this is what I tell people in the aesthetics industry, like physicians and all these people with the education, you got to distribute it. Like you got to share the information with your patients, with people, and then become a health resource.
Actually, with that topic, social media, I mean, this is a platform, you're active on it. I'm learning more about it. Obviously, that's what you guys do as a business. How important, and I would love to kind of hear from both of you, and I would love to give my feedback too, in terms of social media and how it's impacting, good and bad, the world of learning, education. Of course, there's proper education, there's misinformation. So like I said, there's good and bad, but you mentioned the level of access now is different from the time that we were in school. Now kids at any age, very young, can learn very quickly. How are you seeing that? You mentioned you work with a lot of aesthetics practices. How is that evolving in, the digital arena in aesthetics? Why is it so important today for medical practices and businesses to be adopting social media, to be adopting putting information out there on the web?
There's multiple reasons. One of them is that people don't know who you are and what you do and the services that you offer and how it can benefit them. So understanding those things, and like when you're posting content, you're actually educating people, you're providing them value on the services and the things that you do in a way that's like enticing them, like they could actually benefit from what you're doing. And then another one is just like, there's so much garbage out there. There's so many like kids, creators without the education that are farming an audience off of false ideas, like pretty much false information, where experts have the opportunity to come in, literally react to these videos, myth bust, and do all these things to take their audience who are lost in a world of misinformation and bring them towards the expert. And I think if people understand that more, like in the aesthetics industry, that they can actually like help people beyond just in their physical location, then we'd be able to go into a world where, health can be accessible to the general public.
No, that's true. It's a good perspective. Alex, what is your thoughts on?
I want to unpack that a little bit more because you said some words that I am not nerdy enough to know about. And you're talking about like farming and all that stuff. Like describe what's happening in the world or what you see versus what people should be doing.
The farming aspect is just like using all the different strategies and tactics to capture an audience and then like bring them into your ecosystem. And so these young people who have like not the right information, they're not experts, but they have the tactics and they understand how to build an audience. They're doing that effectively. And then we have on the other side, the actual experts, the people that have gone through the schooling, the people that continue their training, but they don't have the tools on social media to distribute and farm an audience.
You're talking about the connection where you're bringing that technology side to people like us that are just old and sitting in front of a mic like, okay, I'll just sit here and talk while you guys set all this up to get this pretty much out in front of people to build that audience is what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. And it goes beyond like just the physical technology. It goes into like psychology, which is like, you know, how do you disrupt an audience in the first 3 seconds when they're viewing something on social media so that they watch the rest of the video? How do you evoke emotion? How do you capture attention? And so there's tactics around that. And, you know, those are usually called the hook, which is like the first 2 to 3 seconds of the video. When people are scrolling, you know, are they able to engage with the video and then stay engaged throughout the entire video?
Those are the tools you were mentioning that the non-experts are really good at capturing that audience with a hook. But the experts, in this case, for example, us two, we aren't knowledge on how to hook people. We just talk shit, but we don't know what specifically to say to capture someone's attention. And of course, that's where your value comes in with teaching individuals like ourselves. Hey, here's how to position yourself as an expert that you are, but you got to do it in an eloquent way because otherwise those other people that are talented with hooks are going to beat you. And that's scary because they have the shitty information.
Exactly. Yeah. Like I'll give an example. So like there's like I was putting these together for some clients just this morning, but there's this like one trend and it's like the jaw sizer. I don't know if you've heard of that, but it's like the jazzercise thing.
Yeah.
And then there's like hard gum and like all these different like trends of like how to get a chiseled jawline. And then like these creators, they'll come and
obviously use them all. Fucking look at this guy. This guy. Holy crap. This guy knows about chiseled jaws.
I use Whole Foods.
Yeah. That's why I grow a beard, my friend. That's why I grow a beard. I don't have that. Yeah.
No, but like they, and the creators like effectively capture an audience with these things, even though they're not nearly as good as what some of the experts in the aesthetics industry are using, like the M face, which is like something that goes on your face and like can actually like stimulate muscle tone and all these things like effectively without giving you TMJ, without making your teeth crooked. But the creators that know how to capture attention, they'll come in with a very creative hook, like here's how to get a chiseled jawline, not only saying it, but showcasing their jawline. So they have a visual hook and then also the verbal hook. Instantly, someone who's interested in the video is going to watch that all the way through to see if it's something that, you know, they're going to buy or benefit from, right? But then in the aesthetics industry, what people normally do is they just go in right for their promotion without no hook. Here's the M face. First of all, no one knows what the M face is, right? This device. Yeah. And then no one knows why it benefits them. And so they go in with a random thing and then they promote it right away without providing education on the benefits. But if you know how to capture the audience, then it's a very effective way to not only help people and bring them towards the right solutions, but then also convert that audience into paying customers.
It's a huge world of learning. I mean, this media world, digital world. Alex, as you've built all of your practices and you guys have scaled to over 80 locations, how important has marketing been in terms of even traditional methods of marketing, social media marketing, kind of the things that he's mentioning? You mentioned that you're starting to become more active with these podcasts and educating people for your brand. So I know you know how this has evolved, but how important has it been for kind of the growth of your information to patients, but also your information to physicians that may be wanting to join your brand?
Yeah, it's been honestly invaluable because, and at the beginning, truly, I'm an introvert. I hate social media. I hate sitting in front of the camera and recording and stuff like that. But somebody's got to do it. And it ain't going to be my business partner. I'll tell you that much. He does not like to talk on camera. But that being said, I have gone through probably 10, 15 different marketing agencies as well. Cause there's all these players, like you said, in this world that are fake. And that's in every type of world. And the company you had before, that was it High Clout? High Key Clout. Do you still have that?
Yeah. So we still have that as a branch. It's just not as.
And so what's the main business name now?
High Key Agency.
High Key Agency. So guys, look that up. So people like High Key Agency are very important. We use Motion Media. There's a bunch of other very good people out there that are creating these types of systems, these types of education to get out there. And it's at the beginning, I thought, hey, it's just for branding. We just got to get it out there. Like, just do it because everybody else is doing it. And that's just it. All your competition is doing it.
Right.
So if you're not doing it, you're not doing the bare minimum to compete. But beyond that, it's turned into a huge recruiting tool. We have providers that message us, hey, I don't really like my job. Like, you seem like a great place to work for. And we've had providers, we've had salespeople, MAs. They've started to follow us on LinkedIn, YouTube, reached out to us via Instagram to start to join our team. And that's how we've grown. When it comes to acquisition of companies and people that want to join us, we do that all the time. We're always buying med spas and acquiring them. And again, all of our stuff is out there. Like, nothing that we do or say on a podcast or a video or YouTube is lies. Like, everything that we say on it is the same in real life, which in this world, authenticity is a big problem sometimes. So it's allowed us to recruit people to our brand in terms of entire companies joining us, selling to us. We acquire them and bring them into our brand, helping them grow as well and helping them scale. And I know it's the same with you, and we didn't actually get to introduce you at the beginning, but you've gone from business owner, you grew these multiple clinics, and then you sold, I think, 12 clinics, correct, as a group. So you've gone from that entire world to now the other side, which is now consulting, high-level consulting tens of thousands of clinics like ours and growing them, working with media companies and doing your own. And you can see how it's really helped you recruit more people too.
Oh, absolutely. I think that we were talking about this offline earlier, is that in the world of medicine, there's more people that are unfortunately failing than there are succeeding. And it goes back to your earlier point, is that physicians come out of school thinking they know everything, but they know nothing about business. They know nothing about hiring. They know nothing about how to treat team members properly, how to properly compensate them. They come in and they're kind of the god in the clinic, and everyone else is forgotten. And what I quickly realized is, I think when I built my first practice, it taught me a lot, right? I built the first practice. It was a medical weight loss clinic primarily. We did a lot of insurance medicine, and it was just me and one other person. So I would have two cell phones. My wife was like, what's the other cell phone for? I'm like, it's the clinic phone. It's the clinic phone.
For the ladies.
Yeah. Right. No, it was two phones, one for the clinic. Not that exciting. I don't live like that rapper life. No.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, we understood what it meant like to be the receptionist. We understood what it meant like to draw the blood, to give the injection, to check the vitals, to mop the floors, to clean the bathroom. Like the janitor, you were looking at him, right? And so we understood, I think, very quickly the challenges of those roles and gained a lot of respect for those roles. And so I think that's how I learned it so quickly. And then as we opened up the second clinic and third and fourth, I still wanted to do those roles because I don't really trust anyone, but also I wanted to make sure it was done properly until I found someone that I could trust. And as we realized that, we built a good business of culture in a good cultural setting because we respected each position. We respected the front desk person, the nurse, the manager, the secretary, whatever they were, we understood because we lived that role. And I think that as entrepreneurs, we had that sort of luxury of learning that quickly versus if you go straight into a healthcare system, you have all those people already pre-assigned to you and you just know you, and you are typically the top of your food chain, the physician. But when you've worked those other roles because you had to grind and open your own practice and open multiple of them, you grow an appreciation for it. So as I opened those businesses, every time we hired, I understood what was needed. I understood the challenges. I also understood what they deserved because I understood it by doing it. And I'm like, this person deserves a lot because that job's hard, right? That receptionist job is difficult. I'm going to treat them right. Whereas most people in the world treat them terribly. And then, that translated over to the consulting world. 3 years ago, we had the opportunity to exit and I realized, okay, well, this is cool. I kind of wanted to do what you're doing now, which was build a bunch of practices. But we had this opportunity of, speaking a lot around the world and teaching people how to do things. So we have our clinical division of training where we do medical weight loss training and injectable training, all that good stuff. And then we have our business development training, which is what keeps us the most busy because physicians don't know how to run businesses. And it's been a really great transition into consulting. But what's been most difficult is, honestly, I feel sad that this many people that have gone through so much school, that have $250,000 of debt, are this challenged with marketing, hiring, staff training, and just scaling businesses. And that I'm glad groups like you exist because you give them kind of a sign of hope, right? You're like, hey, listen, you're good at medicine, but you're clearly not good at a business. So let me absorb your business and let me give you an infrastructure. So I think groups like yours have to exist. And if they're not ready for groups like yours, they come to people like me. And they're like, hey, you know what? I just want to keep it my own. I want to figure this out. Maybe I'm brand new. And we help them to hopefully get to someone like you even.
Right.
And so I think that there's a beautiful synergy about the different types of resources that you provide, that we all provide. And unfortunately, there's not enough of us. And then I guess fortunately, that's a good thing too, that keeps us having a living. But nonetheless, I think it's been a very great transition. And it's not getting any easier. It's not getting any better. I think physicians are just becoming significantly more challenged with knowledge. I don't foresee it changing. A lot of practice owners are going into the cash-based model. You're seeing this. Aesthetics is on the rise. Wellness is on the rise. Functional medicine, concierge medicine is on the rise. And I think the opportunity is only going to become bigger. The opportunity for clinics to be absorbed by a great sort of system and conglomerate, clinics to be trained operationally, and clinics to be marketed properly. And that's why I like this kind of group right here, because we're seeing it from a different world, right? Practice owners do not know how to run a practice, and they need to be absorbed. They need to know how to market and display themselves, grow a personal brand, and they need to know how to operationally revamp themselves. And that's why I think we enjoy our lives a little bit more now, because do we do patient care? No. But do we help physicians give better patient care? Yes. And I think that's a pretty cool gratification. I'm sure in your world, it's probably similar, where you're now able to, you knew the challenges of operating a practice, and now you're kind of relieving that challenge off of people by absorbing them or by partnering with them.
Yeah, I think it's super important what you said to touch on, really pull out the most important part of what you said is there should be no job in your business that you are above. Mm-hmm. And a lot of business owners, as you guys know, you're dealing in this world, are like, well, that's not my job. Like, I'm not supposed to be doing that. Right. The front desk person's supposed to be doing that. Like, motherfucker, that's business. How you get money. That's how you literally know that's how you get money, right? That phone person, like, if she's overwhelmed, pick up a phone. Right. Like, mop the floor, do something. And you're being not above those jobs in your business is why you're wildly successful. And doctors need to realize that too. I've got a 22-year-old kid I'm sitting across from who can run circles around me in marketing. Yeah. He's the expert. You should be hiring people like this in your business, not doing it yourself. Yep. Because again, if you build it, they will come. For a business is absolute bullshit. It's nobody's going to come. Yep. They're not going to know, except for maybe your friends and your family, and they're not going to pay full price. No. They're going to complain about it. So you need people in your business that are professionals to market it and to bring people into the companies 100%.
It's interesting. And I think that, as you've kind of immersed yourself into the world, you're coming in at a really interesting time into this industry. I mean, aesthetics, wellness, cash-based medicine, we've seen it. I mean, med spas were like, kind of like a, hey, taboo voodoo thing. It's like, all right, you're going to a med spa, and you almost kind of, as a consumer, as a patient, people made fun of you. Like, oh, you're going to get Botox, right? Yeah. Now it's like, you don't get Botox, like that. You're the outsider. And so how is your kind of feeling on this evolution of cash-based medicine, of aesthetics, wellness, functional medicine, rehabilitative medicine? I mean, we're living in a pretty cool time right now. I mean, it's a really exciting time of medicine, really, overall. But we're also in a time of medicine where there's almost a battle, right? You have insurance and big pharma, and then you have the real medicine, let's call it, right? Regenerative, rehabilitative, cash-based, semaglutides, tirzepatides, peptides. and there's a clash, and you can see the big pharma, and then you can see insurance. There's just this power struggle. And between the power struggle are the physicians. Do I stay with the hospital? Do I stay insurance? Do I go cash based? Do I take that risk? What are your thoughts on this evolution? And because this guy's the one marketing it, and we're the ones that are lucky to have firms like, yours, the one that you use and the one I use, and to help us propagate this voice. But we're the ones kind of right in the center of that. What are you thinking about this transition?
Well, you've been around for a while. I want to hear from you as well, specifically. How did COVID affect your business? And then after COVID, what has it been like?
People were actually trying to get out there more, right? Because they saw it as an opportunity, because everyone was on their devices a lot more because they couldn't do anything else. So everyone had the opportunity to grow brands at a much faster rate. And so people were wanting to invest. Our business didn't really stall at all. It actually grew a decent amount during COVID. More people were investing in giveaways. More people were wanting to grow their personal brands and scale that side up. So I don't think COVID had really much effect on us. But in terms of like broadly going on the aesthetics industry regarding like potential with social media, like the real issue that people have is just not understanding the benefits that can come from building a personal brand and posting on social media. And like you said, right, attracting talent is a huge one, right? There's a lot more though, like improving patient conversions, competitive advantage. Like if someone comes to a clinic and their digital presence sucks and their physical presence is amazing, and then someone goes to another clinic and their digital presence is amazing and their physical presence sucks, they're going to go with the one that has an appealing digital presence. So I think just keeping that in mind and making sure that your social media channels are optimized, that the content that you're posting is aligned with who you're trying to target, who you're trying to help, and then scaling that up. And like, it's like, when you're working in a business, the more reps that you put in, the better that you're going to get, and the less that the competition is even going to have a chance of withstanding. And like, so the bottom line of it with people in the aesthetics industry is they're just scared to jump into the world of social media. They're scared to jump into the world of branding and building their own personal brand, and they don't want to put themselves out there.
So you answered exactly how I thought you were going to answer. So that wasn't like a negative thing. It was I ask questions like this all the time because the really good businesses, they grew exponentially through COVID.
Yep.
Like the really good ones, we grew 400% a year after, during COVID. And then afterwards it's just skyrocketed.
COVID was great for
because,
our business.
the great fact of COVID was that all the people in the hospital got treated like crap. So they got tired of working. The clients, which we call them clients in our business, but the people who come and consume our services, the patients, if you will. We don't like using that word because it suggests sick people, but the patients we are the lowest amount of trusted service now. Well, physicians, doctors, the medical field is one of the lowest amount of trusted people now. We used to be at the very top. Now nobody trusts providers, which is awesome. Because if you're really good and you really educate and you're out there telling people, hey, this is the reality of this medication or this medication or this, they're going to come to you because they're like, hey, these guys get it. These guys know, that they're not that big pharma where okay, cool, I'm going to lose weight, but side effects are death and then bleeding out of my butthole. Like that sounds terrible.
They're actually trying to help.
Yeah, they're actually trying to help. So the really good businesses like yours, they grew through COVID, they grew after COVID, and now it's an untapped resource where it's just going to continue because, again, more patients don't want regular medicine anymore. They want to actually feel better. They want something that's going to make their lives more energetic. They're going to sleep better, look better, have better sex, etc. Then you've got providers and people who want to be part of businesses where like, hey, I can either work over here and get shit on all day long, or I could work for this really great company and grow and be a part of this better thing. I can do insurance medicine if you build your own business and fight consistently against insurance and reimbursement. And somebody actually, one of my colleagues, they said, hey, we want to start getting into cash-based weight loss because they got $3 reimbursed for their weight loss visit.
It's like, might as well send nothing.
Yeah. Why? Like, thanks for the $3 check back.
Right.
You spent more on postage.
Right. Yeah.
And
Ridiculous.
so, yeah, it's this cash-based, overhead where the GLP-1 world is $10 billion market cap. Now it's going to be $100 billion by 2030. I mean, people want stuff that works. They want people that are the same as them. They want to, associate with good people. They want to be around good people in a business with a mission. And so that's going to help recruit. And then you're just going to scale like crazy. You see these BTL events have gotten bigger and bigger and bigger that we speak at. And there's more and more people investing in devices like these and breaking the chains of all the old school healthcare and medicine.